Değerli konuklar, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti.
Dear participants, Minister of Health of the Republic of Turkey, Professor Dr. Kemal Memişoğlu, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade of Mauritius, Mr. Narsingen Hamburajan, and Secretary of State for Foreign Trade of the Kingdom of Morocco, Mr. Omar Hejira, graced our hall. The channels for translation: Channel 1 Turkish, Channel 2 English, Channel 3 French. Dear ministers, dear participants, welcome to the Pharmaceuticals and Medical Supplies panel at the Türkiye Africa Business and Economic Forum, hosted by our Ministry of Trade in cooperation with the African Union and organized by DEİK with the participation of our guest ministers in Istanbul. Dear participants, we now invite Mr. Omar Hejira, Secretary of State for Foreign Trade of Kingdom of Morocco, to the stage to deliver his speech. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed Minister of Health of Turkey, it's an honor to be here with you today because we are talking about a sector that is vital to our populations, our people, our countries. So pharmaceuticals and medical supplies are really important, and we owe our thanks to Turkey because the public sector and private sector alike, in terms of health, are very strong and they lead strong cooperation between countries, and this type of development and improvement in this sector makes the people's lives easier. And in Morocco, we are taking huge steps in terms of pharmaceuticals and medical supplies, and we, of course, these sectors contribute to our economy as well. And this sector has become one of the second most important chemical sector of our country. And since COVID pandemic in 2019, the foreign trade, especially in terms of pharmaceuticals and medical supplies, has shown dynamics that are fast-paced, and they are representing about 8% growth in between 2023 and 24, and from $1.1 billion, we now reach 1.56 billion in this sector. And again, in foreign trade, this sector reached 11% from 6%, and we have become one of the most important export companies, again in line with the European standards in our continent. And we can do export to about 41 countries, and the turnover in this sector and employment level reached $18 billion. So that's why pharmaceuticals and medical supplies and materials manufacturing is also going well and in compliance with international standards. And in Morocco, of course, competitive and original pharmaceutical brands and similarly medical supplies have shown improvement. Also masks, tests, pharmaceuticals, drugs, medications, and similar products are supplied in our country with the developments in our healthcare sector. And in our agenda for 2023, especially in terms of integrated Africa, we have taken some steps to improve this sector. And vaccinations, production hubs, manufacturing hubs were also in our agenda. And thanks to these works, Morocco has moved forward by valuing this sector. We are also working on decreasing our carbon footprint and also managing of different types of waste has led to optimizing industrial works in our country. And African economy has shown great growth in this sector, and especially in terms of 200, 300 different medical materials, medical supplies, and some pieces, some of these medical supplies now led us to be more dominant in this market. And if we look at the dominance in the sector, industrial platforms should be prepared, and cooperation, especially in terms of R&D, should be established between Turkish and Moroccan laboratories. And in terms of pharmaceuticals, we need improvement, of course, in Casablanca, Dakhla Atlantic ports require this type of improvement. And this industry should be supported, of course, and we are taking actions in order to do that. But this can be with the cooperation of different companies, and we are trying to also develop some procedures in terms of certification in this sector. So when we think of the work that we do in cooperation with Türkiye, Africa, and also other countries, we are moving towards more sustainable and innovative development. Thank you very much for your attention. We thank Mr. Ejira. Now we would like to invite Mr. Narsingen Hamberyajan, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade of Mauritius, to the stage to deliver their speech. His Excellencies, Professor Dr. Kemal Memişoğlu, Ministry of Health of the Republic of Türkiye, His Excellencies, Mr. Omar Hajira, Secretary of State for Foreign Trade of Kingdom of Morocco, esteemed participants and panelists, esteemed ambassadors of the African countries and all the representatives of Türkiye. It is a pleasure and honor for me to be here with you here today. Today, together we talk about the state of the more this medical sector, and I will try to draw you a picture of our country's medical sector.
Please, and I'm very pleased this morning, another professor, Dr. Omar Bolat, who was presiding the plenary session. And again, we have the honor to have another professor being present this morning. Why I'm saying that? Because I myself, I hail from the National University of Mauritius, but not in medicine, but I was a law professor. And I'm very delighted with my delegation this morning, my two officers, but also we got people from the private sector, a few Mauritians being present, captains of industry, because yes, we are policymakers, but at the same time, we need people, we need businessmen who will make things happen on the ground, and this is very important. So, we are delighted to be in this beautiful country. You are at the crossroad of the Middle East, Central Asia, and Europe. You are certainly a very big country. Mauritius is a very small dot in the Indian Ocean, but when it comes to the crossroad of civilizations, we're a bit like you. We are a melting pot with different cultures, different religions, and this is the beauty of Mauritius, and this is the beauty of Turkey. So I would like to avail also of this opportunity to commend the holding of the Turkey-Africa Business and Economic Forum. But I have also noticed that it is not a mere business forum, but it is also a platform for friendship, solidarity, and to do things in a very sustainable and equitable manner. And it has to be noted that Mauritius, the small dot, likes to do things in a very sustainable and equitable manner. And we have positioned ourselves, just like Singapore in Asia, Mauritius for the past, I would say, 20 years, 25 years, has been positioning itself as a hub for Africa. But Mauritius is Africa. It is in the Indian Ocean, not in the mainland Africa, but we are very, very, very proud to be Africans. And especially me, most of the time I'm spending time in Africa, mainland Africa. Mauritius is geographically African and also culturally and mentally African. So I believe that for our business people who are present this morning in the pharmaceutical sector, in the medical sector, I mentioned this word, we have to do things in a very sustainable and equitable manner. Yes, you have to do business, but I believe that we cannot afford to make a complete shift from the pure medical model to a business model. It has to be, according to me, a very synthetic model in between. You have to do business, you have to make profits, but when you come to Africa, this is what I've been really appreciating with your Honorable Minister, Professor Dr. Omar Bolat. When you are coming to Africa, you Turkish people, you're coming with a clean hands. As we say in law, clean hands and clean mind, different from others. Because we want to be on a sort of equal footing and do things in a very equitable manner. Now, going back to the recent history of mankind, what we have seen, unfortunately with COVID, but also this has been a sort of event which has taken place, unfortunately for mankind, humanity, but also it has rung a bell that we should be able to demonstrate more solidarity and complementarity in doing in developing the medical sector and also the pharmaceutical sector. So it is therefore essential, ladies and gentlemen, that we jointly address a number of issues, including the lack of medicines, and come up with tools that we need to protect ourselves and save more lives, more and more. I come from a tropical country, as you know, small dot Mauritius, which unfortunately, I have to confess, has an increasing prevalence of chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases, just mention it, high BP, hypertension, diabetes, cancer, we have it. And unfortunately, we also have it in mainland Africa. So we have to tackle it. So since independence in 1968, Mauritius is a welfare state with health services in public institutions where it is free. But at the same time, we have a two-track model. On one side, we have the public hospitals where it is free. But more and more, the middle class and upper middle class, they are having recourse to private clinics and private hospitals. And I can tell you, many private clinics, private hospitals, and pharmaceutical industry from India are flocking to Mauritius. So if our Indian brothers and sisters are flocking to Mauritius, why not you, our Turkish brothers and sisters? You're more than welcome to come to Mauritius, and I will explain in a few minutes why Mauritius as a hub for Africa. Mauritius, another confession, is a net importer of pharmaceutical products, reflecting the country's high dependence on foreign sources to meet its medical and pharmaceutical needs. The reliance on foreign sources is evident in the large number of drug importers, distributors, and pharmacies operating on the island. The Mauritian market, you will note, ladies and gentlemen, focuses on generic medicines and relies significantly on imports to meet local demand. Key import partners include India, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, and to a certain extent Turkey also, which supply a large share of pharmaceutical products to the island. This established import network, combined with Mauritius' strategic location, also presents potential for re-export opportunities to the African markets. And you will see, when it comes to manufacturing, we are trying to promote this sector more and more. We have a dedicated space in Rosebel for a pharmaceutical park. You will see that people embarking in the pharmaceutical business are entitled to a 3% of taxation in Mauritius. And also, very important to note, that local manufacturing companies are entitled to a 30% of margin of preference. This has been a recent amendment in our legislation. We had a number of shortcomings in our legislation. Now we have modernized the legislations, the laws, the statutes, as well as the regulations in order to make it more attractive. We have a number of professionals, number of pharmacists, over 500, in Mauritius for the time being. And also we have adopted recently a very liberal approach. What it means? That is, if you, from Turkey, you're coming to Mauritius, you will be allowed to take professionals from India, from your own country, Turkey, from other African countries to come and work in Mauritius. So we have a very, very liberal approach towards the coming of professional, semi-skilled labor also in Mauritius. And you will note also that for the time being, and we want to tackle it, the high prices of drugs in Mauritius are primarily attributed to limited competition in the market. So we want more competition. We are a liberal economy. We want more competition. And the import and distribution sectors, you will see, ladies and gentlemen, are highly concentrated, which we don't want, which restricts opportunities for parallel importers and the availability of generic products. And right now, for the time being, at present, we are also exploring the possibility of having a fresh look at generic importation and also parallel importation. So you will see, ladies and gentlemen, that the strategic location of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean makes it an ideal hub for the pharmaceutical industry. The country serves as a platform to the African and Asian markets, offering great connectivity and trade opportunities. It should be highlighted that the government has been very, very proactive, especially the present government, in promoting Mauritius as a regional hub for pharmaceutical manufacturing, offering incentives and also streamlined processes for project implementation, incentives such as your investors can apply for what is known as a premium investor certificate, which will provide investors with numerous benefits. I just mentioned a few among, such as VAT exemption, which is very important, on their plant and equipment. They will also benefit from a tax holiday from 8 to 10 years, very important. And also they can benefit from refund on air and sea freight, exemptions on utilities, among others, some of the few advantages. I'm not giving you an exhaustive list. We got more advantages, and you can connect. And this morning itself, we've got a lady from the Economic Development Board, and back-to-back with our other businessmen and the representative of the Economic Development Board, you can get more precise information. And you will see it is also important for me to highlight that we have a free port in Mauritius. Now, what is the importance of the free port? Because if you come to Mauritius, let us say, if I take a concrete example, you bring your semi-finished goods to Mauritius. Now, if you comply with what is known as the rule of origin, then Mauritius it's one of the rare African countries, you will see. Mauritius is a member of the COMESA, but also a member of the SADC. It is very few countries are both members of the SADC and COMESA. And besides that, a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend another meeting in Egypt. We are negotiating, we are on the brink of striking a very good deal with the AFCFTA, the African Free Trade Continental Trade Agreement. Now, this is important because in SADC, you've got a limited number of countries. In COMESA, you've got a limited number of countries. Whereas in the AFCFTA, it is more wide-encompassing, more wide-embracing. And this is very important for you to capitalize on that. When you come to Mauritius, you use our free port, you bring your semi-finished goods, then you will go quota-free, duty-free in most of the African countries. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you manufacturers of medication in Turkey to make alliance. Now, Mauritius is not only Mauritius, Africa. You know, we've got a very privileged relationship with India. And India qualifies us as the Chota Bharat. That is the small brother. So many of these pharmaceutical people in the pharmaceutical industry and in the medical field, they are coming to Mauritius. So we can bridge you. Mauritius is a champion of bridging people. We are small, but we know how to do it, to bridge people and to bring that fraternity, not only in terms of business, but real love and affection for people. This is Mauritius, lovely place, not only to do business. You will enjoy the lovely beaches, nature. I told you Mauritius is one of the champions in terms of facilitation of doing business, but also in terms of the quality of the air, quality of the environment. Mauritius is exceptional. So you can capitalize, you kill two birds with one stone, you come and do your business, you enjoy the beaches, you enjoy the lovely places. And the hospitality of Mauritians, which is also exceptional. So ladies and gentlemen, you can rest assured that you will get a number of incentives, and also what is also very, very important for you to know, that Mauritius is one of the, unfortunately, I have to say, rare countries which is in Africa, which is very stable, politically stable. Governments can come and go, irrespective of who is in power. We have a political stability. We have a culture for respect of opponents in Mauritius. So you can rest assured when you come to Mauritius, you will do business on a very permanent basis with an exceptional political stability. So on behalf of my government, on behalf of Mauritius, and on behalf of the people of Mauritius, as I mentioned, you will be welcome to come there to do equitable business, but also, as I mentioned, we look at the bigger picture. Don't look only at Mauritius, the small dot. Look at the big Africa with 1.5 billion people and with the youngest population on this planet. So I'm sure now that maybe some among you in the industry of pharmacy, you were not aware of the existence of that small country, Mauritius, but you know Mauritius, when it comes to democracy, when it comes to facilitation of doing business, when it comes to environmental protection, we are a sort of champion in Mauritius. So please do come. You will be more than welcome by our government, by the people of Mauritius, not only to do business, but with love and affection. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for your words. Konuşmaları için Sayın Bakan.
We'd like to thank Deputy Minister of Health. Now I'd like to invite our Minister of Health of the Republic of Turkey, Professor Dr. Kemal Memişoğlu, to grace the podium for his address. The floor is yours, sir. Esteemed ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm more than honored to be with you in this panel to talk about the medical collaboration between Africa and Turkey. In the last 25 years, we have gone through a big transformation in Turkey. Under the auspices of Mr. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, we have implemented protective, developing health models. Thanks to that, Türkiye has realized healthy vision of Turkiye century. Today we have modern and inclusive health facilities, state hospitals, digital and protective and conservative medical implementations. Thanks to that, we have a pioneer and exemplary stance in the world medical sector. Dear guests, we have gone through COVID period all together. Back then, it was not a test for only health sector, but for all humanity. As Turkey, we had a really strong health infrastructure, and thanks to our qualified human resources, we implemented uninterrupted health sector services to our nation, to our citizens. We provided ventilators, PCI kits, vaccinations to many countries, including Africa. So thanks to that, we showed greatest examples of international solidarity. Dear press members and dear participants, our production strength encompasses the idea and the productions itself. So it's a huge ecosystem that we are implementing. This ecosystem is the backbone of our national production action. We are not only serving our own needs, but we are going to also add contribution, make some contributions to economic growth by making implementations. Well, in this respect, we need qualified personnel and knowledge of our entrepreneurs, and we trust and rely on the entrepreneurs' souls, not only in health sector, but also in the production area. Turkey is going on in a very decisive manner. It produces its own devices, softwares, vaccinations, medications, and in Turkey, we are doing our best to enhance production capacity in health. So in this respect, collaborations with African countries are more than welcomed by us, because we know that health is not just a service area, but it is a great step for technology, development, and international relations. It's a strategic bridge. So today we are facilitating that bridge with African countries. That's why we are gathered together here. Health facilities that we established in the continent, we do not provide health services only, but at the same time, we employ domestic health professionals. We also upgrade their skills and knowledge. And thanks to advanced level of surgeries, we help them to equip with better knowledge. In Mogadishu, there is Recep Tayyip Erdoğan Research and Training Hospital. There is TÜRKİYE Training and Research Hospital. There is another hospital in Niger with 44 beds. This is a concrete vision of this collaboration. Esteemed guests, Turkey is ready to enhance collaborations in the health sector. Once again, I'd like to thank all the speakers for their contribution, and I hope this session is going to be very fruitful for all of us. Thank you so much. We would like to thank the Minister for their speeches. Now, we'll go on with the medicines and medical supplies panel. I'd like to invite Lütfi Hamidi, Debiz Khaled Mohamed Lutfi Abdulhamid, CEO of Ultratep, and I also would like to invite Dr. Hannington Bayruba, the Director of East Africa City Ambulance Group, Abdi Ibrahim Pharmaceuticals Human Resources and Sustainability Group President Dr. Mustafa Olcan Bülbül, Güven Healthcare Group Executive Board Member and CEO Vahap Doğan, and we invite Dr. Mos Mukaddam, Vice President of Francophone African Libya at Muharrem and Partners, to take their place on the stage. Now I'd like to give the floor Professor Tabiz Halid Mohammed Lutfi Abdulhamid, CEO of Ultratep. The floor is yours, sir.
I would like first to introduce myself. My name is Professor Khaled Dabiz. I am a retired urologist, and right now I am working in several fields. I have 3 companies working in different sectors of healthcare, and I hold the position of the Chair of Healthcare Service and Industries in the COMESA and in the Africa Business Council. So, to tell you a brief about what we are doing right now, in the last 2 years, we have mapped the health problem of Africa, and here is the stage that we found. Africa in the past was mainly fighting communicable disease, where communicable disease was over 70%. But due to the several work done on the last 20 years, communicable disease is going down and non-communicable disease is going up. So right now we have even in 2025 communicable disease equal non-communicable disease. And in 2035, we think non-communicable disease will be about 70%. Africa healthcare structure is not ready for that. because in the last 20, 30 years, we are doing just laboratory, examine the patient, give him a bill. But we don't have enough equipment or healthcare infrastructure to compete and fight non-communicable disease. The economy of Africa is facing a big challenge. We have over 11 million premature deaths. Premature deaths mean deaths before the age of 70, according to the WHO. So every year, 11 million African life is lost unnecessarily because lack of healthcare infrastructure. And out of those, 5 million is related to non-communicable disease, which is cardiovascular, cancer, diabetes, and kidney disease. So Africa needs huge investment in order to compete that. At Africa Business Council, we are launching next month with Europe the largest healthcare infrastructure to be built in Africa. We are launching a project to save 3 million African lives by establishing 1,000 diagnostic imaging centers and establishing 200 radiotherapy centers and establishing 300 cardiac cath lab and coronary care units. So those 1,500 centers will be focused in phase 1 on 35 countries in the middle of Africa. So escaping North Africa and South Africa, we are going to the underserved country. So we need a lot of work, and we need a lot of partners, and we need a lot of collaboration. So I hope Turkey can join forces and be a major player in this coming project. This project will be between 15 to 17 billion US dollar in cost over the next 10 to 15 years. So nobody can do it alone, but it will need multiple partners, each will take part. So this is, with this said, I just put the floor to what Africa needs and what Africa misses. And then I would like to start the panel. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this important session about pharmaceutical and medical supply as a part of the third edition of the Turkey Africa Economic and Business Forum. Healthcare sector, as I said, is more than individual well-being, but stands at the very heart of economic growth, social stability, and global resilience. Today, we gather to discuss Turkey-Africa cooperation in healthcare beyond trade, focusing on joint production, technology transfer, building partnership between Turkey and Africa. So, with this said, I think together and with our distinguished panelists, we will explore how this cooperation can be deepened and strengthened, and how we can build a resilient healthcare system, and how the Turkey-Africa partnership can shape the future of healthcare. Let me first introduce my panelists. The first speaker, Dr. Hannington Pryor Gaba, is Director of City Ambulance Group in East Africa, a leading institution in emergency medical services and logistics across East Africa. He has extensive experience in developing healthcare infrastructures and strengthening emergency response systems. The second panelist is Dr. Mustafa Bulbul. I hope I mentioned the name right. It looks Egyptian to me. Served as a Group President of Human Resources and Sustainability at Abdi Ibrahim Pharmaceutical. It's one of the largest Turkey leading pharmaceutical company with major investment in Africa. He plays a key role in managing the company's sustainability and social impact strategy. The third panelist is Mr. Wahab Dougan. He is the executive board member and CEO of Govan Health Group. It's a prominent healthcare institution in Turkey. He specialized in healthcare management and digital health transformation and human capital development. Our fourth speaker is Mr. Dr. Mu'taz Al-Muqaddam. He's the Vice President for Francophone Africa and Libya at Muharram Partner. So now let's start with our first panelist, Dr. Hannington. You have a long-standing experience in emergency healthcare services and medical logistics across East Africa. So considering the current need of the African healthcare system, what steps should we prioritize to strengthen pharmaceutical and medical supply chain and healthcare services?
Good afternoon, Turkey. Good afternoon, partners from Africa and the rest of the world. It's my honor to be here to share experience. Maybe let me talk a little bit about my work in East Africa. Like our professor has mentioned, I am a specialist emergency physician. I'm the founder and group CEO of City Ambulance, East Africa. City Ambulance started 15 years back, and it's grown to be one of the biggest and the largest private emergency medical service provider in East and Central Africa, with operations in Tanzania, in Uganda, and in Zanzibar. City Ambulance is both a service provider, and at the same time, we are a medical supplies contractor, engaging in big contracts with the government, tender projects in infrastructure. Notably, we are the main contractor for oil and gas in East Africa, and where we are building the longest oil-heated pipeline in the world. It's a 1,500 kilometers stretching from Uganda up to Tanzania port. So I have very practical experience in pharmaceutical supplies and medical supplies. Like Professor has asked, the priority areas for strengthening pharmaceutical and medical supplies depend on collaboration and partnership. From the beginning, Africa needs quality supplies, quality pharmaceutical products. It needs to develop technology to supply these products. It needs partnerships in regulatory compliance to be able to make sure that we meet the standards that would be respected globally. It's an opportunity for Turkish companies to come and invest in supply chain with the advanced manufacturing and technology in Turkey. We need digital platforms that can help to monitor stockouts, that can monitor procurements. We need supplies to be able to reach the last person at the end of the mile, what we call the last mile logistics and delivery. For that to happen, we need to develop capacity to supply from the entry point to the last person. As you know, Africa, we still have challenges of power. We need solar systems that can be able to move our vaccines, solar-powered systems to move our vaccines to the last person. All these are areas of collaboration, opportunities for Turkish companies to come and invest in Africa to strengthen our pharmaceutical supplies and medical supplies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hannington. Now, Dr. Mustafa Bulbul, you are leading one of the pharmaceutical companies that have strong investment in Africa. particularly in manufacturing and sustainability. How does this experience in pharmaceutical sector translate into the African market, and in which country your company is currently active, and what is the countries you are looking for in the future?
Mr. Chairman, if you allow me, I prefer speaking Turkish to take advantage of using our host country. So I switch to Turkish, but we have the translation. Sayın Sağlık Bakanım, değerli bakanlar, herkese Abdi İbrahim adına selamlıyorum. Öncelikle bu soruya cevap verirken çok kısa Abdi İbrahim'den bahsetmek istiyorum. Afrika'daki planlarımızı sonrasında sizlerle paylaşacağım. Abdi İbrahim 113 yıllık bir aile şirketi, şu an 3. kuşak tarafından yönetiliyor. Yakında 4. kuşağa devredecek inşallah. Dolayısıyla 23 yıldır Türkiye'de pazar lideri. Bu biraz çok anlaşılmıyor. Ben ilaç sektörüne Anadolu grubundan geldim, yani sektör dışından geldim. Orada en farklı holding şirketlerinin 2-3 rakibi olurdu. İlaç sektörü dünyadaki rakiplerimizin böyle hani %70-80'inin neredeyse bulunduğu çok rekabetçi bir sektör Türkiye'de. Dolayısıyla bunların önünde 23 yıldır pazar lideri olmak, %100 bir Türk şirketi olarak bunu yapmak gerçekten, yani hem bir Abdi İbrahim çalışanı olarak benim için çok kıymetli, hem de bir Türk olarak. Dolayısıyla Abdi İbrahim yaklaşık 70 ülkeye ihracat yapan, 19 ülkede kendi satış ekipleriyle faaliyet gösteren bir firma. Dolayısıyla uluslararası pazarlar bizim için çok önemli. Türkiye'nin en büyük üretim tesisleri var. Steril inhalasyon var, steril oftalmolojik katı, yarı katı, likit ve abdibiyo ve biyoteknolojik ürünler tarafımız güçlü. Özellikle biyonun altını bir çizmek istiyorum huzurlarınızda.
Let me interrupt you. I think the translation is not working. You can continue.
So, biyoteknolojinin altını çizmek istiyorum izin verirseniz. Çünkü biyoteknoloji gerçekten bizim de şirket olarak çok önem verdiğimiz ve uluslararası pazarlarda önümüzdeki yıllarda çok önemli olduğunu düşündüğümüz bir alan. Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımızın aslında bize çizdiği yolda kuvvetli bir şekilde bu alanda yatırım yapmaya devam ediyoruz. Aşağı yukarı 150 milyon dolar civarında bir yatırım yaptık bu alanda ve 2028 yılında bir aksilik olmazsa Türkiye'nin ilk yerli milli hücreden ürüne kadar biyolojik ürününü, biyobenzerini yapmayı planlıyoruz. Türkiye, moderatörümüzün de söylediği gibi Abdi İbrahim Afrika'da 4 ülkede aslında faaliyet gösteriyor. Bunlardan bir tanesi Cezayir. Cezayir'de fabrikamız ve satış ekiplerimiz var. Yani aslında tam bir operasyonumuz var Cezayir'de ve yaklaşık 50 milyon dolar civarında bir ciromuz var Cezayir'de. Onun dışında Güney Afrika, Tunus ve Fas'ta faaliyetlerimiz var. Totalde 55-60 milyon dolar civarında bir ciromuz var. Türkiye'nin tabii ki ilaç sektörünün yetişmiş elemanlarının kalitesi, Ar-Ge'si, yatırımları, teknolojisi ve konumu Afrika pazarı için çok kritik. Dolayısıyla biz aslında şirket olarak Kuzey Afrika'daki Cezayir yatırımımızda hub yapıp öncelikle Kuzey Afrika, sonrasında da Afrika'nın tamamına ürünlerimizi göndermek, ürünlerimizi hastalarla buluşturmak istiyoruz. Dolayısıyla Türk ilaç sektörü hem sahip olduğu know-how ve kapasiteyle hem de konumuyla Afrika pazarında, ama başta Kuzey Afrika pazarı olmak üzere önemli rol oynayacağını düşünüyorum.
Thank you very much. I think still working on the translation. So I think I should move to the fourth speaker. He's speaking in English. Then go back to you when they have the translation ready. So Dr. Mu'taz al-Muqaddam, French. So French is working?
Technical issue.
Okay, so it will take. So it is up to you. So let's go back to Mr. Dogan. Juvan Health Group is one of the Turkey pioneering institutions in healthcare management. In your opinion, which area can Turkish healthcare institution contribute the most to strengthen healthcare management in Africa? We'll try to, if you can, each speaker reply in 3 to 4 minutes in order to can do all the questions. We still have 12 questions to be answered.
sayın konuklarımız, öncelikle hoş geldiniz. Ben 50 yıllık bir sağlık kurumunda çalışıyorum. 27 yıllık bir sağlık yönetimi meslek tecrübem var. Bunun 8 yılı üniversite hastanelerinde, 8 yılı kamu özel ortaklıklarında ve 8 yılı da özel hastanelerde oldu. 3 yılda da yeni kurumumdayım. Afrika'nın neye ihtiyacı olduğunu biliyoruz aslında. Şöyle biliyoruz, bizim en fazla hastamız Cibuti'den, Ruanda'dan, Nijer'den çok yüksek hastalarımız geliyor. Hatta ciromuzun 1/4'ünü yurt dışı hastadan aldığımızı söyleyebiliriz. Bu anlamda almış olduğumuz meslek tecrübesiyle Afrika'daki sağlık yapılanması üzerine en güzel yapılacak iş aslında bir sosyodemografik değerleri bir ortaya çıkartmak gerekir. Ve en büyük konunun da şu olması lazım. Merkezi yönetim ve örgütlenmenin aynı zamanda halkın hizmetlere ulaşmasını sağlayacak bir yapının olması gerekiyor. Buradaki en önemli konu personellerin bu anlamda yetiştirilmesi de en büyük sorunlardan birisi. Bu anlamda koruyucu tedaviye ağırlık verilmesi bu anlamda önemli. İkinci aşamada medikal ve cerrahi yatışların olacağı, üçüncü basamakta da eğitim ve cerrahi yatışlarla birlikte medikal yatışların olduğu, hatta dördüncü basamakta da rehabilitasyon hizmetlerinin olduğu bir yapıyı kurmak lazım. Bu yapılaşmalara göre de yeni sağlık yapılarını oluşturmak lazım. Bunlar kendi içerisinde bizim aile hekimliği sistemi gibi, devamında devlet hastanelerimiz ve eğitim hastaneleri gibi yapılaşmalar olup, bu yapılaşmaların yanında bütün harcanan iktisadi ve sosyal kaynakların kayıt altında tutulacağı bir enformasyon altyapısına da ihtiyaç olduğunu bu anlamda düşünüyoruz. Bizden aldığınız veya beraber ürettiğimiz malzemelerin de kayıtların yapılması önemli olacaktır. Bu anlamda da Türkiye'de yeterli sayıda firma ve ortaklar vardır efendim. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we need like 2 or 3 minutes. We'll pause the session till they repair the technical issue of translation because we cannot continue like this. Thank you.
And emergency systems. As City Ambulance, we supply specialized automotives, including ambulance vehicles. We supply automobile ICUs, intensive care units. This is one area where we can collaborate with Turkish companies to set up assembly plants in Africa and be able to leverage from reasonable cost of production, and we can benefit from tax incentives from government and big cooperation frameworks, including the regional trade blocks like the East African Community, SADC, COMESA, ECOWAS, and the likes. The other area is medical equipment manufacturing, like I mentioned. Africa relies heavily on foreign imports. We are ripe to take on partnerships to be able to produce this medical equipment and other supplies in Africa, including vaccines, diagnostic tests, including imaging and laboratory devices. Lastly, digitalization is coming to Africa. We need partnerships to support this wave of digital platforms, including ambulance dispatch systems, including electronic health records, and AI-based diagnostics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think now we go to Mr. Dr. Mu'taza Muqaddam. He was not sharing till we get the French translation back. So Dr. Muqaddam, you have an extensive background in the public administration and private sector in Egypt. Having served in senior governmental in Tunisia as well as in corporate world. Based on your experience, how can stronger public-private partnership support the localization of pharmaceutical and medical supply chains across Africa? Dr. Mu'taz.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, Monsieur le modérateur. C'est toujours un...
Thank you to our moderator. It's always a pleasure for us to be in Turkey. As always, we are really thankful. You provided a good platform for us, and with the opportunities that were provided for us, is that it's ideal that we can exchange ideas about our medical sectors. Of course, we need to do some diagnostics in this area as well. When we think about the pharmaceuticals, procedures and regulations, in order for them to be applied, we need to take some steps, even though they are slow-paced or fast-paced. And even though sometimes we see rapid improvement in some areas, it is not enough for us just to have something in one country, such as in Morocco. There are some countries, there are some places who are still dependent on other countries or cannot gain their independence in this area. So we have to create this model at a level that could be that could mean independence in that sense. And throughout my career, I worked in Tunis, especially in pharmaceuticals. With my administrative role and skills, I gained experience in the public area, and but it is also a limited system that we have to work with in general. There are some things lacking in the cooperations in private sector, between private and public sector. So, of course, it is always important for the public institutions to not restrict themselves so that they can actually cooperate with the private sector as well. Especially in terms of manufacturing, we always should think about knowledge exchange, and this is only possible through cooperation. It is a really special category because it is about people's lives, humans' lives, and it has to be a sustainable sector as well, because it is directly related to people's lives. And PPPs, as you know, we can talk about this, only this topic for a whole panel, but they are advantageous. They bring different opportunities, especially in terms of supply in the public sector as well. Because it always brings a warranty, a contractual warranty, and it provides you with flexibility, these corporations. And in supply, you cannot always have this flexibility because the market is always really fragile. And when we talk about PPPs, on one side you have the state, on one side you have the private sector, industry. They share know-how, and of course they have to work together. Because of my experience, I can only see how this will go. When you look at the loans taken from banks or any kind of financial situation right now, PPP is providing you with almost like a financer. So that's why it is also important. It is a great support. And I think it is really open to finding a lot more, many more investors. And when we consider the financing, of course, they have to know that there are some risks, but independent from how the projects go, they will get their money back, whether the financing is okay or not. So in African states, they have to, of course, do much more so that they can actually contribute to the improvement of their healthcare sector. At public level or state level, after some exchange of ideas, we have started working on manufacturing, but it is really small. In the beginning, it always starts small, and as you can see, a lot of regulations, a lot of rules are being adapted to the new ways. And in the pharmaceutical sector and the industry, I think the improvement is not far away from us.
Mr. Wahab Dujan, how can digital transformation, data management, and telemedicine application create opportunities for Africa healthcare system? Yeah. No translation?
Yok, hayır, dijital enformasyon sorduk. Evet. Şimdi dijital enformasyon.
When we think about digital transformation, we have a lot of PPPs in Türkiye, and we also have the family medicine system, and we have over 558 private hospitals, and the sources need to be used correctly in the healthcare sector because they are not cheap, they are not easy to access. So that's why our priority and our recommendation is that we have some software companies here. But in Africa, before everything else, the registration and controls of the expiry dates, expiration dates is much more important because the warehousing and stocking of these instruments are really crucial. And also, making sure that the patients are able to access these pharmaceuticals is also important because there are some problems there. And in terms of the costs and expenditures, pharmaceuticals are always important. And with the AI applications, maybe especially in the cost side of this thing, AI or the similar systems, softwares can be used to decrease this costs. And with the consumables, I think we have to pay importance to that. And in Turkey, we are trying to always improve ourselves. We have very good healthcare system, and I thank you very much for all your contributions before me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we are taking too much time, so we need the next couple of questions to be 2 minutes in the answer, not more, please. Otherwise, we cannot do all of them. So Dr. Harrington, how has the role of private healthcare sector evolved in Africa after the pandemic? And which area have public-private partnership produced the most effective result? 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Professor. I will definitely summarize. After the pandemic, the private health sector took a more central role, working with government and other big organizations in areas to develop universal health care. If I can highlight, notably manufacturing in pharmaceutical, in vaccines, in diagnostics. In East Africa, we have ventures to manufacture vaccines, especially COVID and related vaccines. We have ventures to manufacture diagnostic kits and personal protective equipment. We've also developed capacity to digitalize our systems. You've heard of a story in Rwanda where drones are delivering vaccines and blood products to the last user. All these came as a result of COVID pandemic, where we've positioned ourselves now to take the lead in healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you for committing to the time. Now, my question is for Dr. Mustafa Bulbul. You know, now all the world is focusing on sustainable development goal. How does Abdi Ibrahim integrate environmental responsibility production and social impact strategy into its operation? Please.
Teşekkür ediyorum. Az önce Türkçe konuşarak sistemi bozduğum için
I started speaking Turkish and then I hacked the system. I'm sorry for that. CDP A list, we are in that, and Abdi Ibrahim is the first and only company. And science-based target, we have a target of reaching the top at 2050, and this is also of critical importance for the companies that we work with, and also in the market it gives us a competitive edge. And I can give you two examples. One, on the OTC side, on the side of vitamins, there is a product that we are planning, and olive pits are used, and all the stability tests are completed. And in African countries, in terms of sustainable packaging, which is seen really important in Africa, this is really important because an olive pit is a waste, and African farmers can really earn from this, profit from this. And we created a packaging that is causing less carbon emissions. And also we are using a biopolymer packaging that is produced from coffee grounds. And especially in Africa, coffee is a really important product. So for biopolymer production, coffee grounds is a really good source. So we have two different packaging, sustainable packaging projects, one from olive pits and one from coffee grounds. So I think this will be really important in the international arena as well.
This innovation is very important for Africa. We need a lot of it in order to keep in Africa environment free and clear. Mr. Dugan, how can Turkey experience in human resources development and medical education shared effectively with the different African countries? 2 minutes, please.
I think human resources is where we take our main power from, and on the first step we want to provide education. If you have a population without health, you cannot give them any training, and if you cannot give them any training, you cannot really have law in your country, justice in your country. So with the healthcare personnel, we can think of a population of 3 million people that are receiving their trainings. And we sometimes get offers from other countries about education. And I ask them, what do they need? Education, materials, etc. No, they just want personnel. Because whatever you have, whatever technology you have, without the personnel, you cannot really use them. So I think training of the trainers is really also important. And our trainers are really experts at what they do. And we have the schools, such as the healthcare high schools, and these are really important in our healthcare education. And in Iraq, they have this program. 50% of the personnel of a 500-bed hospital, 50% from Iraqi personnel and 50% from Turkish personnel is trying to be planned. And within 4 years, these personnel will learn and they will be able to work efficiently. Biomedical is another thing that we are lacking, actually. That we see in Azerbaijan. We saw in the laboratory a lot of the tubes were lacking their tops, and I asked about the caps, why are they not closed? And I told them, if it's over 22 degrees, then this will not work. And they were waiting for spare parts, and they didn't have a biomedical personnel there. So that's another example that we see where these things are lacking. So especially in terms of the lab workers or healthcare workers, they have to be well trained, and Türkiye is always ready. And we have retired or pensioners around 40, 50 years of age. I think this can be used as human resources as well.
Thank you very much. I totally agree. We have a lack of the specialists in Africa. We have like less than 15% compared to the world radiologists. We have less than 10% compared to the world in nuclear medicine doctors. We have less than 12% in biomedical engineer compared to the world. So even if we bring equipment and investment, building capacity will be very important because we need a lot, and we have to make one doctor work like 3 doctors using AI and telemedicine. Dr. Mu'tazil, we need back to you. We need to speak about regulatory harmonization, because regulatory harmonization remains one of the biggest challenges for cross-border cooperation in healthcare. So from your perspective, what policy or government framework could facilitate smoother collaboration between African countries and partners such as Turkey in pharmaceutical sector? This also will bring us to the African regulatory agencies and the other organization involved in this regulatory framework. 2 minutes, please.
Merci beaucoup pour la question. Enfin, l'un des fléaux les plus destructeurs, je dirais, pour l'industrie pharmaceutique en Afrique, c'est cette question.
One of the most destructive things for the pharmaceuticals is the regulatory dividedness. For registrations, for the quality controls, quality checks, there are small markets and everything is kind of divided. And if a person wants to come as an industry, anyone from the industry, they want to come to Africa, they have to act differently in different systems. And in different countries in Africa, most of them in their own laboratories, they cannot really check and control their own pharmaceuticals. So that's why when the industrial companies, etc., they come to the country, they have to come with maybe 3-year allowances, let's say. If there is a harmonization, because we can see that in Europe, there is a European Pharmaceuticals Agency, so they can actually do the harmonization. In Africa, I think there should be a similar institution. Yes, we did establish it, but it doesn't work as efficiently as we want. I think the regional integration is the way to go here. In terms of regulations, harmonization is really important. We can divide Africa in that sense into different regions, maybe around ECOWAS or West African Monetary Union, etc. So I think if we can manage to do that, this integration effort can be supported. After we do that, after we consider different African regions separately, we can then integrate all the regulatory issues so we can harmonize them.
AMA, which is a regulatory body for all Africa, is under process, and we hope it will be working like the European Union in 1 year or something like this. Let me ask you one more question before we leave you. Having led major initiative in Tunisia and worked across Frankfurt area in Africa, what lessons can be drawn from your region in creating more transparent and efficient and investment-friendly health ecosystem? 2 minutes, please, Dr. Mu'taz.
Écoutez, là, je vais répondre en moins de 2 minutes et je vais y aller.
Well, I think I'm going to answer it shorter than 2 minutes. There's 2 things, transparency and digitalization. Transparency means the registrations of the medications and the quality controls, their certification and pricing, and these processes. In all of them, transparency must be definitely the case, while the prices of the medications should be reimbursed. If it is transparent, then if we can make it transparent, then we can attract more investors, I believe. And digitalization is really crucial because new technologies could be used and perhaps mobilized for the sake of the health sector. In the pharmaceuticals, 2 concepts should be used together. We need to get to transparent and more digitalized. Thanks to this, we can attract investors to us.
Thank you. I think you said it well in time. Dr. Harrington, 2 minutes also. Which cooperation model, such as joint production, distributorship, or technology transfer, which model have proven to be the most sustainable in partnership with Turkish companies?
Thank you, Professor. I'm sure my Turkish friends and partners would want to really get a straight answer from this question. Unfortunately, there is not a single model that works independent of the other. My response would be that it's a hybrid. For us to build a sustainable partnership, we need a hybrid model of partnership, from joint production to technology transfer and to distributorship. In the healthcare, I think the model that has worked very well is joint venture. Professor already talking about setting up specialty units across East Africa, where we have human resource technology transfer, and we are working together in joint partnerships. We have joint production, like I mentioned, manufacturing pharmaceutical products, vaccines, diagnostic kits. So it's a hybrid of models, and we welcome our Turkish friends and partners to come and explore which model would work depending on the opportunity that is available. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much. So we go for Dr. Bahlul. What steps do you think private sector should take to increase health investments in Africa? And how can Turkish companies play a leading role in this process? 2 minutes, please.
Türk ilaç sektörünün
Well, Turkish pharmaceutical sectors in Africa, the investments that we have made are very much discussed thanks to this kind of organizations that we have gathered together here, like in the organizations with the state heads and ministers. These issues are very much discussed where there is a demand to Abdi Ibrahim that they should establish a factory in Africa to make production. Well, physical investment, capex, we can talk about this. Well, here, I believe companies and the state's expectations are the followings. In order to make this physical investments, there should be some physical facilitations and tax easiness. Since our sector is pharmaceuticals, well, if you'd like to produce a medication in our own factory, in African country, let's say this is our own establishment, in some countries we have been waiting for the license permits to be issued for 6 years. Unless we get these permits, licenses, there's no meaning in establishing a factory because you cannot produce the medication, you cannot export them, we cannot make the patients meet with these medications. So regulations are actually the most problematic part, especially when it comes to biosimilars and generics. Well, regulations should incentivize these medications to enter into African countries because in African countries there are more expensive and originator drugs. Well, in order to facilitate competition, generics and biosimilars should be promoted. And the licensing permits, this period is really crucial. And opportunities, let's talk about them a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, there is 9-10 unions in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. In these unions, and among these unions, there is mutual recognition needed. For example, I get a license from Egypt, and I get another license from Algeria. So the union that Algeria is a member of should make this license to be recognized by other union members. It could decrease the red tape, the bureaucracy. So once you get license for one country, the medications, especially the affordable priced ones, could be provided uninterruptedly. That's why it has a two-legged answer.
That's the new African agency will be working on. In the future, after 1 year, you will register once, you will register in 53 countries. So, Mr. Dugan, over the next decade, in which specific subsector do you face the greatest potential for growth in Turkey-African healthcare cooperation? 2 minutes, please.
Well, thank you very much for this question, dear moderator. Of course, when I work in the hospitals, I used to work in public-private partnership, and I was a general manager of an hospital of 450 beds, and 400 tons of IVs were used, serums were used, and it was a huge problem to store them and, to utilize them. Well, in the analysis, we generally use these facts. Well, in the consumables, there is non-sterile gloves. This is one of the mostly used ones. Disposable protective bits are used, and sponges and sterilization materials are highly used. They are very much in use. So after seeing them, the dealership, the distributorship in Türkiye, some things are going to grow. If you ask me what's going to grow in the future, first and foremost, medical consumables, production networks are going to grow the most, and at the same time, people are going to age healthily. Well, in terms of healthy aging, well, the life is going to be long, but during aging period, for people to get less sick, healthy nutrition products are going to be on the forefront, and at the same time, supplementary materials are going to be more popular. And also, this is my humble recommendation to you, please, among your current health systems, we have to say stop to this point. What is it? Well, for your newcomers, new babies, new children, they should get conservative, protective treatments. Their vaccination should be made very well, and so that they should not get sick in the upcoming years. I think it's going to be really, preventive medicine is going to be really important. And when it comes to medical device calibration and maintenance, with the African Union centers, I think in easily reachable areas, there could be some departments for the spare parts and maintenance-related parts. That could be really good. Another topic is that in the labs, I think we should be really sensitive because doctors cannot diagnose the sickness or the conditions with the examinations. We need the labs, we need the tests, radiology, and on the lab side, radiology sector is a really expensive sector, by the way, with expensive steps, with socio-democratic balances. Some kind of small imaging centers could be facilitated so that I believe diagnosis could be provided more accurately. And thank you so much for asking this question again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I concur every word. Diagnostic imaging is very important. Labs is very important. We have 43 countries in Africa that does not have nuclear medicine at all. So there is no cyclotron, no PET-CT. So we have only 8% compared to the world in nuclear medicine. And with this, you cannot diagnose or stage cancer early. You diagnose cancer when it is too late, when all what you can do is palliative radiotherapy, but you cannot cure. We need a lot in this area. So, last question in the panel to Dr. Mu'taz Al-Muqaddim. Muharram and Partner is an active in strategic communication and public affairs across the continent. How do you see the role of advocacy and policy dialogue in bridging the gap between government and private sector to ensure sustainable healthcare development in Africa? Dr. Mu'taz, 2 minutes. Thank you.
Oui, absolument. Vous savez, le plus souvent, on constate que aussi bien le secteur public que le secteur privé.
Well, in general, let it be private sector or public sector, in both sectors, the purpose is the same, but they do not communicate with each other. Well, when two systems are not engaged with each other, then there should be an interface in between them, right? And as Muharram and Partners, this is what we do. We create an interface. With that, we bring public sector and private sector together. We facilitate their communication, and at the same time, we try to explain each and every sector's vision to other sectors. So there's two worlds, and these two worlds should definitely be in contact. This is very important. And in Africa, in all of them, there's something that we tell all the time. If you want to be successful in a specific country, then you have to work with the locals of that country. Local representatives should be definitely delegated in each and every country in Africa. Africa is a heterogeneous continent. Their perspectives are different, their traditions are different, the culture is different from one region to another. You will see these differences when you change the regions. You can see everything might change. That's why we'd like to work with these people that we selected. We very carefully select them, and we would like to select those who really know their countries well, their realities well. We work with them, and these people that we have selected should be in contact with big companies. This is what we are striving for with pharmaceutical companies, Google, Meta, MasterCard. These are the companies that they are in contact, for example. There is more than one international companies relying on us or trusting us, because on the field, we transfer the current condition to the countries. Thank you.
Yeah, knowing your customer or knowing your partner is the key to success in the business. With this, I would like to thank sincerely all the distinguished panelists for their valuable contribution today. I think today's discussion has provided important insights into the future of strategic cooperation between Turkey and Africa in the healthcare sector. Turkey will continue to contribute to Africa healthcare development, not as only as supplier, but as a true partner, investor, and provider of technology. With this, we conclude this panel, and I would like to extend my gratitude to all participants and hope that Turkey-Africa Business Forum 2025 will pave the way for the new and concrete partnership that further strengthens Turkey-Africa collaboration. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Değerli konuklar, ilaç...
Distinguished guests, we have come to the end of our panel. We'd like to get a family photo.
Thank you very much to our moderator and our panelists. And if our other guests are here, diğer bakanlar hepsi galiba, o yüzden anons etmeyeceğim.